Hey Astro Kids, and welcome back. In this video, we're going to be breaking down the horoscope for the month of June 2021. So starting off here on the 1st of June, Mars will shift into the sign of Cancer. Now Mars is debilitated in Cancer, so this will be a very challenging transit, and we'll talk more about this in a future video. Mars, remember, is a soldier, a warrior. It wants to go out and take action and get things done. Cancer is connected to the home, the mother, our comfort, our nourishment. So Mars is very uncomfortable here in the sign of Cancer. Now we'll also see Mercury come into a combustion here at the beginning of June as well. Remember that Mercury is in a retrograde, so it will shift back to meet up with the Sun. On the 10th of June, we will have a solar eclipse in the sign of Taurus. This will be towards the end of Taurus, and we'll talk more about that in a future video. This is a part of this big eclipse season. If you have not already checked out that video on the full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio, make sure to check that out. I will leave a link above and down below in the description. On the 14th of June, the Sun will shift into the sign of Gemini. So this will push us into a new consciousness, a new seasonal shift here as the Sun moves into Gemini. Our focus shifting from this more relaxed and friendly sign of Taurus into this very curious and mentally active sign of Gemini. On the 20th, Jupiter will shift into retrograde. So once again, we're here in this eclipse season, in this retrograde season, where there's lots of changes, lots of internal work to do. And this is a lot that we will talk about here in this month of June with all of this happening. Of course, this will all take us into November and October when these retrogrades will start to clear up and we will move out of this eclipse zone. On the 22nd, Venus will shift into the sign of Cancer. This will be a tricky position as the Moon and Venus are not the most friendly of planets. And lastly, here on the 25th, for those of you who are following those three extra planets, our transpersonal planets, Neptune will station retrograde. So we have a lot going on here as we're moving into the summer with all of these eclipses and retrogrades, where there's a lot of internal work to do moving forward. So let's talk about how this tricky month of June will affect each of you according to your moon sign or your ascendant sign. And once again, I want to bring this to all of your awareness that I am not using the tropical zodiac. So the tropical zodiac is typically used in Western tropical astrology, where it is according to the seasonal points and where the stars were positioned hundreds of thousands of years ago. I am using the sidereal zodiac, which is based upon where the stars are positioned right now in the sky. So this is according to the correct position of the stars, and this is coming from those fixed stars as well that sit behind the constellations. And along with that, I am using jyotisha or Vedic astrology, which is coming directly from the scriptures. So this is going to be according to your moon sign, not your sun sign. The moon sign is very, very important as it is the indicator of your mind. So all of your behavior, all of your patterns and cycles that you go through in life are all being filtered through the moon sign, because this is how your mind is functioning, your psyche, your state of mind. So this is very important in terms of looking at horoscopes. I also add in that ascendant because that is the point from which your soul made contact here with its life on earth. So that ascendant is mapping out the foundation of your entire life. It is the lesson, the experience of why you have come into this existence. So I do recommend that you always look at your horoscope according to your ascendant or your moon sign, not your sun sign. For those of you with a Sagittarius moon or Sagittarius ascendant, we are starting off the month here with Mars shifting into your 8th house of Cancer. This is a very difficult transit for those of you with a Sagittarius moon or Sagittarius ascendant, as Mars is a friend to your ruler, as Mars is controlling that 5th house of your chart. And so Mars has come into a very difficult position here in the 8th house, where there is a lot of struggles and difficulties that can play out. Mars also controlling your 12th house. You can see a lot of internal work and reflection to do in this area, where there's a lot of growth and transformation that can take place in your life at this time. You want to be careful of any sort of accidents or any sort of health complications in this area with Mars in there, especially with Mars controlling your 5th house. Anything speculative, anything involving gambling, or anything related to fun and enjoyment, you want to be careful about overdoing it in these areas, as this could land you into some trouble here. Mars in the 8th house really can bring about some stress, some frustration, some difficulties, especially in the sign of Cancer, where this is debilitated and becomes very emotional. So this can be a very difficult time in terms of emotions and dealing with the hardships of life. A lot of internal work and spiritual growth to do in this area. We will also see Mercury come into a combustion, and Mercury is shifting here between Gemini and Taurus, as it's in this retrograde as well. So remember that a Mercury retrograde is not something that is negative. It is something that allows us to review and look deeper into these areas of our life. And this Mercury retrograde combustion will happen there in your 7th house of Gemini. So this is centered around relationships, where there can be some miscommunication, some difficulties in this area of dealing with business partnerships, any sort of negotiations or diplomacy, anything surrounded around group activities. You want to make sure that all of the details are in place and that everything is clearly understood. You may need to communicate and to really explain things out thoroughly for many of you who are dealing with your business, who are dealing with the world, as that 7th house is a house of the public as well. So there is a lot of focus, a lot of work in terms of your communication and how you are connecting with other people at this time. On June 10th, we will see a solar eclipse in Taurus in your 6th house. And so this can be a time where you feel like there's a lot of struggles or difficulties coming in, some new challenges or new responsibilities to take on at this time. And this can come unexpectedly, as this is a solar eclipse. The sun, the consciousness, the light, the awareness is being blocked out, but this is still a new moon, where this is a time to take on a new responsibility, a new goal, a new routine in your life, a new challenge to overcome with this solar eclipse. And we'll talk more about that in a future video. On the 14th of June, the sun will shift into your 7th house in the sign of Gemini. And so this can be tricky in terms of relationships. The sun is a very positive planet for those of you with a Sagittarius moon, Sagittarius ascendant, as it controls your 9th house of luck and fortune. And so as the sun comes into this 7th house, this does help relieve any sort of difficulties. However, the sun coming into the 7th house definitely can play into some power dynamics, some control issues, as the sun is all about leadership and authority coming into the 7th house of partnership. You can lose your identity or feel as though your identity is not being recognized or acknowledged at this time, especially in terms of any sort of knowledge or wisdom that you are trying to share with others. Again, communication issues can come up during this time of this Mercury retrograde there in that 7th house. We will also see Jupiter station retrograde on the 20th of June, along with Neptune stationing retrograde on the 25th. These will retrograde together in the sign of Aquarius. They're in your third house. Again, huge focus on communication. As Jupiter and Neptune come retrograde into this third house, this is a time to pay close attention to your thoughts, to your logic and understanding, and how you are communicating things, making sure that you are understanding the bigger picture and seeing things from a much larger perspective. And yes, Jupiter is your chart ruler, so this is blessing you tremendously through this retrograde, allowing you to look deeper within yourself. Jupiter is also controlling your fourth house, though, so especially looking within your mind, understanding yourself on a deeper level of self-reflection, and looking at all of your different patterns and cycles, making sure that everything is in proper alignment. Anything that isn't bringing you peace and joy in your life needs to go at this time through this retrograde process. A lot of focusing in on what things do you need to act on and take initiative in, and what things need to go. That third house being about entrepreneurship and courage. What are the things that you're acting on? What are your patterns and cycles? What are the things that you're thinking and communicating about? Are they positive? Do they serve your highest, greatest good? Is huge to look at this time. We will also have Venus shift into Cancer on the 22nd. So this will be Venus moving into your 8th house. Again, that 8th house is a very difficult area emotionally for a lot of you with a Sagittarius moon, Sagittarius ascendant. Also with Venus controlling your 6th house and your 11th house. This can be tricky where these are neutral zones where there's a lot of growth and maturity that has to take place, a lot of hard work, as these are Upachaya houses. And so with Venus here coming into this zone of Cancer, a lot of spiritual growth and progress happening for many of you here. Again, you are really transforming yourselves at this time. A lot of experiences that are helping you to grow and mature and to really work through those areas that need some major change and spiritual progress with that 8th house activation. So this has been your June 2021 horoscope for Sagittarius moon or Sagittarius ascendant. I want to thank you all so much for joining. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button along with the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any new content. Once again, we have a lot to talk about with these retrogrades and this ongoing eclipse season. So make sure to hit that notification bell to stay tuned. If you would like to learn more on Vedic astrology, I do have a course available in the Facebook group Astrology Lessons with Daquan Jones. There is a link down below in the description along with the comments. I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.